It doesn't matter what your name is.
You just made the list!
Rest in peace.
Tell me, he didn't just say that.
Brother, bro, brothers, bro, brothers, brother, brothers, brother, 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 brother.
You are not ready for.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
All you have to do is believe!
So for the benefit of those with flash photography,
Brother, 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 brothers, brother.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for ya!
You're fired.
Woo, 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 woo!
Brother, 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 brothers, brother. If you smell.
Oh yeah! Yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there's only one word to describe you.
Brother, 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 brother.
Hello again. Welcome to Hidden Gem Hunters. We are back this week reviewing WCW Greed 2001. I am the Bookerman, Alec Burnett, joined as always by Peter Nixon. How are we doing today, Mr. Nixon? That was terrific.
Did you enjoy that?
That was really good.
Yeah? Who is it?
I have no idea.
Oh, he's on this show. He's on the show we're about to talk about.
I mean, I recognise it, but I can't place it, which is usually what happens. On this show we're about to talk about,
yeah.
But most people's themes at that point were just really generic.
Yeah, kind of. But this guy carried his music into the WWF after the invasion.
Okay.
And it started with the line, "Who better than Canyon?"
Of course. Of course. I liked Canyon.
Me too. And we will talk about him momentarily.
We will indeed. But before we get to talking about any of that, to answer my initial question, how are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm all right. I forgot you asked. Yeah. Not much to report, really. How about you?
Yeah, all good on my end. As you really, for the most part, enjoyed what we watched this week.
Yeah, the TV match was fantastic, I thought. Greed had some enjoyable moments.
Yeah. So let's talk about that TV match first. So there was a little bit of confusion between us today.
There was, yeah.
So this was the New Day against Chris Jericho and AJ Styles from Raw. The match that was suggested to us was from March 7th. However, you had watched February 29th of that year.
I nearly watched February 29th.
Okay.
I was going through the Raw shows, and for some reason, because my network was playing up today for some reason, I couldn't see the New Day versus Y2AJ on the March 7th edition of Raw. I think some segments were missing from the chronology. So I went back and I looked at the previous week. Oh, I thought Eric just got the date wrong. I'll best double check with him. And turns out they did indeed have 2 matches. The first match was like a champions contender style match, and I think Y2AJ must have won that in order to get the tag title match.
The following week, yeah.
And that's the match I watched, March 7th.
Yeah, which is the one we were supposed to watch. It would be actually quite interesting to go back and watch the week before and see how that compared. But But I thought this was really, really good. You could tell that sort of AJ was pretty fresh, because people were popping some of his stuff like it was the first time they'd seen it.
Yeah, like the moonsault into the reverse DDT on Kofi.
Yeah, which looked amazing because there's like no delay at all. Because quite often stop and then drop, and it looked really, really good. Springboard 450 got a really good reaction as well. Yeah, I thought this was tremendous.
Yeah, if this was mid 90s or early 90s, maybe even late 80s, Midnight Express against, I don't know, the Southern Boys or Rock and Roll Express or like a babyface tag team, we'd certainly be putting this on the hidden gem list, no questions asked.
Okay, which kind of answers my next question, in that why doesn't it go on the list for you? If you're saying we would be putting it on if it was one of those teams.
I don't know. I feel like in this day and age, certainly 2016 and up to now, we're kind of spoiled. We're getting matches like the one we just watched every week on television. So it's hard to call things hidden gems because the quality of wrestling in this day and age is so good.
Depends where you look, but yeah, for the most part, the quality is quite high.
Yeah, I'm just talking about work rate now.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think this was a very, very good TV match that I don't particularly remember. I remember the AJ, the Jericho turn happening, and obviously setting up their program, but I didn't really remember what match led into it. So it was nice to go back and watch. It made me really miss Big E.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully he comes back fit and healthy at some point. But yeah, I would agree that it won't go on a hidden gem list. But that doesn't mean we say this quite a bit. It doesn't mean it's not really good, and it doesn't mean that people shouldn't go and check it out.
I absolutely agree 100% with what you're saying. I forgot I was going to make a point then. What was it? Yeah, like everyone remembers the Jericho turn. No, I was watching Raw religiously in 2016, so I would definitely have seen this match, and I don't remember a thing about it. And so I know we're going back and finding the hidden gems, the forgotten classics, but it was only 7 years ago. It should be more memorable.
Yeah. No, I can agree there. But yeah, it's definitely worth going back and checking it out. But yeah, it doesn't go on the list, but a really good suggestion, I think.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know who suggested it, but thanks for suggesting it and making us watch it, because it was a hell of a match.
Yeah, and it's always nice when it's from a different era to the pay-per-view that we're having to watch as well.
Oh,
I think that's a good thing going forward. So WCW Greed is the pay-per-view that we watched this week, which was WCW's last ever pay-per-view. So, which wasn't something that was announced at the time. So they didn't know necessarily going in it would be the last one. I'm sure some people had a feeling, but considering that, I actually think that WCW was doing some decent stuff at the beginning of 2001. I don't know what was different, but it felt like they had a little bit of direction. They had a few new faces. They were doing some pretty good stuff, I thought, around that time. Were you watching at the time?
I was. I used to watch on Channel 5 on a Friday night. It used to come on at 7 o'clock, I think. It was called WCW Worldwide, and it was an hour-long recap of the week's TV, but it was a month behind.
Right.
So, yeah, I used to catch up with Nitro and Thunder from a month previous every Friday on Channel 5. And it ran until they ran out of material. So even though WCW closed its doors in March 2001, the show ran until late April.
Right.
Which is kind of funny. So yeah, I was actively paying attention to the storylines. And you're right. 2001, they had a bit of direction. I don't know who was in charge of creative at that time, because Russo had been and gone. I don't think Kevin Sullivan was there. Eric Bischoff was trying to buy the company. So I have no idea who was in charge of booking. But the whole Magnificent Seven group faction, who keeps attacking people backstage, the whole Scott Steiner has run through the competition, and then they were gearing up to bring everyone back to try and get the belt off Steiner. So, yeah, you're right. It was a good time for WCW. I mean, it was a terrible time when you think about it, but the match quality-wise, specifically, stepped up drastically from 2000, and I think a lot of that has to do with the cruiserweight division.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. I think there was I don't know, I just feel like it felt less chaotic and like it had a little bit more purpose and direction to a lot of people on the show. A lot of specific people got focus and things. So the cruiserweight division kind of tailed off a little bit, and then like I say, it's a bit of a resurgence with a bunch of new faces towards the end.
Well, 3 Count, the Young Dragons, and bringing in guys from the power plant like AJ Styles and Air Paris, and primetime elite skipper Kid Romeo, who we will get to in match 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's make a start then, I reckon. So WCW agreed, 18th of March 2001, Jacksonville Memorial Coliseum in Jacksonville, Florida, for 5,030 people. This kicked off with Jason Jett against Kwee.
It did indeed.
Yeah,
Jason Jett was very recognizable. You know who it is?
Easy Money.
Indeed. Yeah, it was good to see him.
Fame.
Yeah, proper innovator for late 2000, early 2001. It was cool to see him pop up here.
I feel like he maybe, I don't know, I thought he lacked maybe a little bit of personality. It was a bit kind of generic, but he was doing some really cool stuff. And I think one of the things, like you say, to consider around this time is some of the stuff he was doing might be the first time people were seeing that. He had a better buckshot lariat than Adam Page.
Yeah, I've got that in my notes.
It was really good. The sort of rebound DDT on the outside.
Oh, that was spectacular.
Some really, really cool stuff in there. And I thought that this was really, really good as an opener. Plus bonus points for Kwee-Wee's hair, which was, again, great. You could kind of tell that they were both trying to impress.
Yeah, totally. Kwee-Wee, I mean, his character was very flamboyant and kind of throwing it in people's faces. The androgynous aspect of his character, I guess. Maybe that's the wrong word, but he was getting, he was starting to get heat from the crowd because it's the South and people don't quite understand homosexuality back in 2001. So he was getting a little bit of heel heat there, which they were playing up on. They were starting to call him Angry Alan. I don't know if you heard that on commentary.
Yes, Angry Alan Funk, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it felt like this match was booked to be a dark match. And in the last sort of hour before the show, they elevated it to the main show. And the guys were like, okay, we've got to get all of our shit in. We've got to impress, we're the opener. And they certainly impressed me.
Yeah, I think when we drew this on the last show. I said the opener's really good. It stuck out in my mind. I remember it. I remember watching it and being like, okay, I don't know these guys. I don't know what to expect. Well, I knew Easy Money, but in this setting, with a different gimmick and everything, and kind of being like, okay, what's this going to be? How is this? Why is this opening the show? I think it was a really good opener. There's lots and lots of really good stuff in this. Kiwi went on to be one of the Rainbow Express.
That's right, Bruce.
TNA. Bruce, yeah. Which was which was an interesting gimmick. Yeah. More playing up the sexuality thing. Probably more extreme than he was here. And also, I don't know if you ever saw on the WWA events in like 2001, which is the World Wrestling All Stars. Yeah. They did some pay-per-view tours and things, and Kiwi was on those as the Funkster, and it was a Hulk Hogan rip-off.
I saw some of the WWA shows, but I don't remember the Funkster.
I will send you it. I will send you a link, and there is the mannerisms and everything are spot on. You can't fault it for commitment to the gimmick. It was like Black Machismo levels of a good tribute, Okay. But then he I think he broke his neck, had a really serious injury, that kind of put an end to his career. I think he did make a bit of a comeback a few years later, which is obviously a good thing. But yeah, I think that put a stop to his mainstream career anyway. This was a really good opener, and I gave it a 7.
I also gave it a 7. We're starting off agreeing.
This is not a good sign. They want controversy from us.
Yeah.
So, second on this show, it continued in good form, I thought. This was the finals of the WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Tournament between Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman against Kid Romeo and Elix Skipper. What did you think?
I thought this was the best match on the show. I thought there was some awesome spots at the start, off the ramp, and just non-stop action here. Very little rest. I think in the middle of the match, Kid Romeo slapped on a chin lock, but that was the only downtime in the match. It was go, 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 which, this crowd were up for. The crowd were invested in Ray and Kidman because they were established. Elix Skipper, I think he'd been Cruiserweight champion at this point as part of Team Canada, but people didn't know Kid Romeo. So it was, kudos to those guys for getting over and keeping the crowd invested. How spectacular was the Kid McCarthy?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
very.
so dangerous. But yeah, Kidman, sometimes he struggled to get full rotation with the shooting star press, even though it was his finisher. There's a lot better shooting star presses out there than Kidman's, but to do it from the top to the outside, kudos, because that was pretty amazing. And I love the finish as well. Kid Romeo catching Ray's moonsault and hitting him straight away with the last kiss. Yeah, spectacular.
Yeah, really, really good. I'm one of a few people that actually really liked the belt design.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought it was really cool. Elix Skipper, I liked Elix Skipper in TNA.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't warmed to him yet at this point. And I remember kind of being like, why are they in the finals? Why did they win? This was a given. I think everybody expected Ray and Kidman to win this.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think they were going with the youth movement.
Yeah, and putting the other guys over, and a great way to do it because the match was really good. At first, I thought this was Elix Skipper teaming up with Ricky Starks.
I said that. He looks exactly like him.
Yeah, I still don't fully embrace watching Rey Mysterio without a mask. It just feels odd to me. Yeah, some of the stuff like off the stage, like the hip toss thing off the stage and everything, shooting stars to the outside was amazing. Yeah, and I think it was a surprise who won this, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. How did you score it?
I gave it an 8.
Damn it! I
Did
gave
you
it an
rate
8
as well.
I did, but it deserved an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good stuff. It went downhill a little bit after that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it had set a pretty good high standard though up to that point, and then we got Stasiak getting a little crazyak against Bam Bam Bigelow.
What do they call him? The Mecca of manhood.
Yeah, the Mecca of manhood, Sean Stasiak.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
No, same. I remember when he came back into the WWF for the Invasion.
Yeah.
Before he became Planet Stasiak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which was a thing that
Indeed.
happened, and we all let it happen.
Yep.
Before that, there was a bit with him backstage, and I don't know why this has stuck with me, but he's basically complaining about not getting any chances, and I can't remember, someone starts ripping into him, and he mentions the word Mecca written on the back of his trunks, and says, like, he's like, my pants say Mecca. I don't even know what that means. Like, okay, so you're not even on board with it. Bam Bam's sort of a bit past it at this point, bit lazy. The match didn't really do anything for me. So just to backtrack ever so slightly, because I forgot I hadn't really done times like I normally do. The opening match went 12 minutes and 17 seconds. The cruiserweight tag match 13 minutes and 46 seconds, but this went just under 6 minutes at 5:55. And that was quite frankly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy this.
Not really, but I thought it was better than I expected it to be. Unfortunately, there was zero heat. The crowd really did not want to boo Stacy Keibler.
Yes, that's part of the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave this one a 4, and I don't think it really deserves much more conversation.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. I didn't enjoy it. It could have easily just about crept into a 4, but I wasn't feeling particularly generous because it really brought the show down, I thought, following 2 really good matches.
Exactly. It felt out of place after the first 2 matches, didn't it?
Yeah, no, the show up to that point was like, wow, this show's a banger. And there's a couple more good matches on here as well, but that wasn't one of them. Next up we had another tag match, which was Lance Storm and Mike Awesome against Hugh Morris and Conan. So 11 minutes and 28 seconds. I like Lance Storm.
Mm-hmm.
I like Mike Awesome.
Yeah.
In the right circumstances, I like Hugh Morris. I did at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand Conan. He wrestles like he's not even bothered.
No.
And if he's not bothered, I'm not going to be bothered.
Exactly. It's hard to invest in Conan. Even though he's entertaining on the microphone, it's hard to get invested in a Conan match because, as I've written in my notes, classic lazy Conan.
Yeah. Conan, give me Conan as the manager of LAX,
Yeah.
and I'm a happy man. But Conan, or even like 3 Live Crew Conan,
Yeah.
but when he wasn't in the matches,
Yeah.
then I'm absolutely fine. I mean, who throws a shoe? Come on.
That was the best thing he used to do.
I know,
Roll
right?
across the ring, take his shoe off, and throw it at him.
He does far too many like pointless forward rolls as well.
Yeah.
I never understood.
The rolling lariat. It looked
Yeah,
terrible.
that added no additional impact to the move. It was just like, oh, okay, you can
It's
do a
like that
forward
move-
roll.
Yeah, just to bring it into modern times, it's like that move Austin Theory does. He rolls
Through the ropes and then drop kick.
and drop kicks. What's the point of that?
Well, judging by last week's like TV or whenever it was, they're now using that as his finish.
Right. I don't think, because I was there. I was at SmackDown. I don't think they're going to be using it as his finish. The reason they used it as his finish against Ridge Holland is because Theory had pulled Ridge's arm and, pulled him across the throat first. So Ridge is selling the throat. Theory rolls through, does the dropkick into the throat. And that was never pointed out on commentary.
Okay.
Right in the throat. So it made sense.
Actually, it made sense, yeah.
Yeah. But it's still a shit move. And if they start using it as his finish, Christ, Theory is doomed.
To be honest, I think he's really stalled. Personally, I obviously had the feud with Cena, where Cena pointed out everything that's wrong about him. And I don't think he ever really, even though he beat Cena, he never really proved any of those points wrong. And then I just think he's kind of floundering a little bit. He's not really doing much. Doesn't feel particularly important, especially when you look across at the other sort of mid-card champion being Gunther, who has really elevated, that championship. But anyway, we're not here to talk about modern day WWE. We are talking about Lance Storm and Mike Awesome against Hugh Morris and Conan. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about with this?
I liked the duo of Storm and Awesome. I think when they went to the WWF, I think they could have done more as a duo, but they had plans for Lance, and unfortunately didn't have plans for Mike Awesome. And I understand it, because he's a different kind of athlete. Didn't really fit the mold of a WWF performer, which is a shame. Why were Hugh Morris and Conan a tag team here?
I can only put it down to they're both at this point kind of at the same level, and they're both baby faces, and they kind of just threw them together, I think. I can't really see anything that kind of pulls them together as personalities. I liked Storm and Awesome. I thought that Storm and Awesome was on the Invasion pay-per-view against Edge and Christian.
That's right, they opened the show.
Great tag match.
Yeah.
Great match, really good. I thought that, I don't know what it was, but I thought that Mike Awesome was gonna do really well in WWE. At the time, obviously a lot younger. I thought he was going to. It didn't click. It was because he was like the first one to come over, wasn't he, and won the hardcore title.
That's right.
And being, the age I was at the time, I was just like, oh, well, clearly they've got big plans for Mike Awesome.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. This was okay. There were bright spots in there. But yeah, Conan brings everything everything down for me in this. And I gave it a 5.
I also gave it a 5, and I've written decent match, but why?
Why? We could use that sentence a lot.
Why was this match on the pay-per-view? Why were Morris and Conan a team? Were they feuding? It was never explained on commentary. And yeah, why? Why did this match happen?
Next up was the Cruiserweight Championship match. This was Sugar Shane Helms against Chavo Guerrero. 13 minutes 57 seconds. Shane Helms was like the new face of the Cruiserweight division, really, wasn't he, at this point?
Yeah, they were really going with him. He broke out of 3 count.
Yeah.
And yeah, they really strapped a rocket to him here.
Yeah, he was good. His finish really got over.
Oh yeah, the vertebreaker.
Yeah, really got over. Chavo's always decent. I think that due to the popularity of the Hurricane, that a lot of the Shane Helms or Sugar Shane stuff gets overlooked.
Yeah,
But
I
he
agree
was
with that.
he was
As
good.
far as Gregory Helms.
Yeah, he had some good matches with his little heel run when he got rid of the Hurricane gimmick, and then every time they tried to bring Hurricane back, it was never the same.
No.
The magic was kind of gone with that, unfortunately. But the Hurricane as a gimmick when he first brought it in right through till right through for a good few years there was really popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of his stuff here in WCW gets kind of a little bit overlooked. And I thought this was good. I didn't think it was amazing, but I did think it was good. And there was some really cool stuff. Big pop for the vertebreaker. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It just crept into a 7.
Okay, you're a bit more generous than me. I've written even less than 5 years into his wrestling career, Chavo Guerrero was a ring general. He really, controlled the early stages of this match, and there was some
Yeah.
great wrestling in this match. Unfortunately, there just wasn't much heat. Like Chavo was kind of a villain, but he was just coming out of the Misfits in action, and they were baby faces. Same with Sugar Shane Helms, like he was coming out of 3 count, which was a heel act, but they were kind of pushing him as a baby face. So the crowd didn't know how to react really, and I think the match suffered because of that. So I went with a 6.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think it just about crept into a 7 for me, but yeah,
I think
not
7 is fair. Yeah.
Yeah, we're about the same there, but we'll take the slightly different score.
Yeah.
Next up was a very short match, 54 seconds long, and this was Sean O'Hare and Chuck Palumbo against Totally Buffed, Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell. Not really a lot to talk about. 54 seconds long.
I've got lots to say.
Oh well, I'll stand back and let you go for it.
We've talked glowingly on this podcast about Lex Luger, but how rotten was his promo before the match?
Oh, it was dreadful.
Jesus. The hilarious comedy of getting their names muddled up. Chuck O'Hare. Jesus.
Go on.
I get that it was impressive that the rookies squashed the established vets. It was a big move in the youth movement direction that we referenced earlier. But even the post-match angle where Buff is laying in the ring, referencing his injury from 1998 on Thunder. Bad taste.
Yeah. Even though it's him doing it, it's bad taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I get it, but it kind of felt. I mean, Luger looked awful for a start, but it kind of felt like. I thought this as I was watching. You mentioned earlier that the opening match of the pay-per-view was. It seemed like it was maybe going to be the dark match, and then it got bumped up.
Yeah.
My brain says it got bumped up because this got cut to a minute, because the other option here is Lex Luger and Buff go out, have a competitive match, and put the guys over, which wouldn't surprise me if they just didn't want to do. And this is more of an out for them.
Yeah, there was a story floated around a few years ago. I heard it on someone's podcast, maybe Tony Schiavone's, that Lex and Buff walked out of a pay-per-view, or maybe it was the last Nitro, because they didn't want to do a job, or didn't like the creative plans. They just walked out, and then they came back later on and did business. So maybe that was this pay-per-view.
Yeah, maybe, and because of the time, that would have gone to this match, they went, oh, okay, well, we can make that time up and bump this other match up to the pay-per-view, maybe. Obviously, I have no clue if that's remotely accurate, but it's definitely a possibility. This was 54 seconds long. It was probably 51 seconds too long. But at the same time, no one botched anything per se.
True.
And they put over the young team, which is a good thing.
Yep.
So I gave it a 3.
I also went with a 3. Like you said, it didn't offend me in any way, or apart from the promo and the angle afterwards. But the match itself, there was no botches. Like you said, the established vets put over the younger guys. Sean O'Haire looked fantastic doing those Shaunton bombs. So yeah, I think 3 is fair.
Yeah. I think that is fair. I mean, Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire he came into the WWE as the WCW Tag Champs, and briefly looked like they would get pushed as a tag team, but I think that a lot of the guys that they got in that invasion kind of fizzled out. They were not really ready for the spot that they were in. The standard, especially over in WWE at that time, was so high.
Especially in the tag team division. In WCW, they had no teams in this era.
So they brought up everybody from the power plant and just chucked teams. There was a rotating bunch of teams with Sean O'Haire, Chuck Palumbo, Mark Jindrak, Sean Stasiak, Mike Sanders, all of those guys, just rotating, doing just not very good tag team matches and things. It was a shame. It was one of the big things that suffered in later years. WCW was the tag team division. And they just weren't good enough when they got to WWF.
Not to hang with the likes of the Hardys and the APA, Too Cool and whoever other teams were there.
Yeah, and the thing is, even teams like Kai and Tai were probably more over with a WWE crowd. Which is probably true, unfortunately. But so this got 3s all round. Not really much else to say on it. Match number 7, which would, on most of the shows we've been watching, would probably be, by the time we got to match 7, would be a main event. But we've still got a few more to go on this one. So this was Ernest the Cat Miller against Canyon. It's 10 minutes 31 seconds, and I was a big Canyon fan.
Yeah,
I thought Canyon was terrific. I liked him during the sort of Mortal Kombat stuff. Was the first time I saw Canyon, and I thought that was cool as fuck. When I was a kid, I thought the look of that was amazing. Obviously, it didn't really, but I liked like Wrath as well.
Yep,
it's the back of that. I thought that was awesome. Canyon bounced around with various gimmick changes and things, which kind of I think hurt him. When you just wanted Canyon being cocky, Canyon going out and having really good matches. I was never a big fan of the Cat in the ring though.
Yeah, I'm with you. That Mortal Kombat era, unfortunately, that whole story arc, Blood Runs Cold with
Yeah,
Glacier and the man who would go on to become Father James Mitchell, it suffered from being on the same shows as the NWO. They're
yeah,
doing this reality-based story, which is really getting over, and then you've got the real-life incarnation of Sub-Zero. It just
yeah.
it felt very out of place. But I loved Glacier. I still do. I think if that gimmick was 1994, they could have run with that.
Oh, big time, big time. Um, but I kind of feel like that applies now, though, in modern day.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of this week's Raw, and I think one of the problems you have is that you're trying to do so much that you try and blur the lines with some reality, right? So you try and have people, yeah, they've got gimmicks and characters, but generally speaking, they're people with the volume turned up, right?
Yeah.
And then on the same show, you've got people that are basically coming out and going, "We are Vikings,"
Yeah.
And in the modern day, that's just not going to get over. Like,
Yeah, I see your point.
when you've got stuff like the Bloodline story, right, which is all kind of set in reality and kind of playing on relationships that people know exist, and then you've got Viking Raiders.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's just not gonna. You look at a tag division, which, in all honesty, Sammy and Kevin as tag champs has not really worked, has it? It was all for the big WrestleMania pop, and then it's all kind of fizzled out now.
I don't think I don't know. I don't think you're giving them enough credit. They're still very, very over.
Oh, they always will be, though. That's the thing. They're in a position where they always will be now because they've established for so long. They're going to be over. That's never going to go away. But it's just they're not doing anything interesting anymore.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see your point.
It seems like everybody that's in the position to, okay, I'm going to be the one to take down Roman. So, Cody, Sammy, now the Usos,
Yeah, Drew.
They get hugely popular because people start to believe, okay, this guy could be the guy to beat Roman. The moment the Roman Reigns, Cody's the exception, but the moment the Roman Reigns kind of rub is gone and you're not working with Roman Reigns anymore, they've struggled to follow up with any of these people.
Yeah, I do see.
Maintain that.
Yeah, very good point. Well made.
Thanks. So the cat was pretty shit.
Bringing it back to 2001. Yeah, Ernest the Cat Miller, he wasn't the best, was he?
No, I loved him as a commentary guy on Velocity, though.
Somebody call my mama.
That was I was all about that. Yeah, I felt like Canyon was a little bit underappreciated. I was thinking at this sort of time frame, the US title, or it should have been, Canyon and Lance Storm and people like that going out and having bangers, Yeah, but this wasn't great. I gave it a 5. It was watchable, but I didn't didn't think it needed more than that.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent match from one okay worker and one very underrated worker. I gave it a 6.
Okay, a little bit generous.
Maybe, but there was some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
I
It
didn't
wasn't.
like Canyon's booking at this time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Match number 8 was for the United States Championship, and this was Booker T and Rick Steiner. This wasn't very good, was it?
No. But I never really enjoyed Rick Steiner outside of the Steiner Brothers tag team. Maybe like Varsity Club, maybe late 80s, before the Steiner Brothers were a thing. But yeah, as soon as the Steiner Brothers finished and Rick Steiner started feuding with Chucky, and then it turned heel in '99, and they put the US belt on him, I couldn't have given two shits about Rick Steiner.
Yeah, I always thought, like, there's one of those people that I like the idea of more than I like them. I feel like my love of the Steiner brothers carried over into kind of giving Rick Steiner a pass at times.
Well, yeah, I get that, but with Scott, not with Rick.
Yeah, this wasn't very good.
No.
Rick Steiner didn't really sell anything. Didn't look like he was too bothered.
Nope.
And he looked stiff, but not in that he was working stiff. I mean, he looked like a block of wood. Like, he didn't really move a lot. Like, he'd be getting punched, and he's just kind of not even really registering.
Yeah.
Which actually Booker T deserved better than that at this point.
Yeah, and the crowd were into Booker in this match. The crowd were invested in Booker T. They're ready for him to be world champion again.
Yeah, and actually this was, like I say, this is something that didn't do Booker T any justice.
No.
So yeah, I gave it a 4.
I also went with a 4, and it's purely because of how over Booker was.
Yeah, exactly. The crowd were behind him, and that kept it to a 4, but it could have been lower. That went 7 minutes and 31 seconds, and that was long enough.
Time.
So the next match was another tag team match, but this was Dusty and Dustin Rhodes against Ric Flair and Jeff Jarrett. 9 minutes and 58 seconds. Even at this point, I still enjoy watching Dusty.
I totally agree. And wasn't he having a wonderful time in this match?
Yes, that's the thing. You can feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the pop when Dusty gets in the ring to face off with Flair, and Dusty's like wagging his finger at Rick, saying, "No, give me a minute to soak it in," and he's just strutting around the ring, soaking in the adulation. I thought that was so much fun.
Yeah, you can always tell he's got this kind of infectious, lovable kind of quality to him.
Yeah.
And always did. He knew when to get serious, obviously, but he looked like he was having a great time. I never enjoyed Dustin as Dustin.
Yeah,
not necessarily in modern day.
Yeah,
like now he's in that sort of late stages of his career, and he's he's a veteran and all that. But what I'm talking about is post Gold Dust, back to WCW as the kind of, what was it, the what was he calling himself at that point? I can't remember. He had a nickname.
But he Lone Star, something?
Lone Star, yeah. So he at that point, and then also there was sort of mid noughties, went back to TNA before not the Black Rain run.
Yeah.
But he came back and he had like the I don't know if it was a dog collar or just a chain match with Raven, and so 2005-ish, I think.
Yeah.
And again, he was like the Lone Star, Dustin Rhodes cowboy kind of gimmick, and I didn't enjoy watching him. I just never. But as Gold Dust, loved him.
Yeah.
It was just the right fit. This was all right. This was really fun in places. It wasn't amazing. watching Flair wrestling in a flowery shirt was a bit sad.
But he was bumping around, like he was moving around really well.
Yeah. Obviously, at this point, he could still go.
Yeah.
I think he alludes to getting his confidence back in WWE. So maybe it was just something that had kind of gone at this point.
Yeah.
Which that's fair enough. But yeah, he quite often, even when he wasn't in a flowery shirt, if he was wrestling, he was wearing a t-shirt and things. Clearly he sort of lost a bit of confidence. But even when he's lost that confidence, you still see these little fantastic glimpses of classic Ric Flair.
Absolutely. And I just thought this match was fun. It was cool seeing Dusty do the double bionic elbow. The match didn't have much substance beyond that. Like Dustin's stuff with Jarrett was pretty plain, pretty generic. Standard Dustin and Jarrett, which is fine. But yeah, other than that,
people wanted to see Dusty and Rick.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I say, it was fine. It was fun. I enjoyed watching it. Yeah, but I couldn't go higher than a 6.
I also went with a 6.
Okay,
it's my favourite match stipulation, by the way.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, the Kiss My Ass match is my fave.
Damn it, I should have booked you in one.
Against whom?
I don't know, like BG.
Yeah. He's the only person, right? That could.
Yeah, he's the only person it could have been.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And that finally leads us to the main event, which was our 10th match on the show. Went 14 minutes and 14 seconds. It was Scott Steiner against Diamond Dallas Page. And I really, really enjoyed this.
I thought it was tremendous. Yeah, I love DDP coming through the crowd. Harkens back to sort of 98 when he was the People's Champ. It's good to see him doing that again here. There had to have been a couple of plants in this match, as in the audience.
Definitely.
One of them was very recognizable. Do you remember the second plant who handed him like the record or something that smashed over Page's head?
Right.
It was Paul London.
I literally didn't even notice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was front row.
Okay. I thought this was just what this show needed to end on.
Yeah, there was some fun near falls at the end. I did feel that the ending was anticlimactic. Basically, Page succumbs to the numbers game with Rick Steiner and Madeja getting involved, and eventually just passes out in the a bloody mess in the Steiner recliner.
Yeah. I do feel like sometimes, too often, people they just don't want to have their babyface just get beat.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's okay to do that. If it's a really good match and a really good fight, they can lose. It's okay. It felt like they too many times people needed to find an out for people to give them a reason that they lost. But like, look at Steiner. Like, losing to him is nothing to be ashamed of.
Exactly. You wouldn't want to get into a fight with him, would you?
Exactly. It's believable for him to beat anybody. I was a big fan of his at this time.
Yeah.
It was really being built around him at this point. And he'd beaten like everybody up to this. I can only imagine that the eventual plan would have been Goldberg's return to take him down.
Because he's beating everyone. They have to bring Goldberg back to try and stop, the tilt.
And their match, Steiner and Goldberg, I believe, was Full Brawl.
Oh yeah, in 2000.
Yeah, What an unexpected banger that was.
Yeah, right.
We might get to look at that at some point.
I hope so. That might be a hidden classic.
I really enjoyed this main event, and I gave it an 8.
An 8? Okay. I think the anticlimactic ending brought it down, so I gave it a 7.
Yeah.
I loved the brawling through the crowd. You know, I'm a big fan of DDP, big fan of Scott Steiner. So I was always going to enjoy it. And the Paul London appearance made me smile. But yeah, I couldn't go more than a 7 just because of the finish.
Yeah, it's one of those. It crept into an 8 for me.
Yeah,
I did really enjoy it. It topped off this show. I thought it was the right match to end this show. I don't mean that because of the right match because it's the world title or anything like that. I just mean it was the right type of match.
Yeah.
It felt like a main event. It felt like a big deal. Both guys, very, very popular. DDP, obviously, really popular. Felt like a main event. Rubbish finish, but I kind of let that slide a little bit because I really enjoyed it. So this was a sort of show, started really well, lulled in the middle, some good stuff towards the end. But yeah, I went 8, you went 7 on the main event, which I can tell you brings this one as an overall show to a 5.6.
5.6. Okay.
Which I believe ranks as the 3rd best show that we've watched.
Okay, so that would be behind Night of Champions 2012, maybe, or Starcade 87.
No, hang on.
Blast obviously is in there.
I might have completely misquoted that. Beach Blast still sits at the top.
Right.
Was there anything on this show that you thought that's a hidden gem that belongs on the list?
Unfortunately not. Even though I really enjoyed the Cruiserweight Tag Team title final, I don't know, it just didn't feel like a hidden gem to me. How do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. It was really good. But I don't know. I just don't think it's when I look at the list that we're making so far, and although we've only got a couple of matches on there, I am also now looking at matches and going, okay, does this belong on that list with those?
Yeah.
And I don't think it quite does, unfortunately.
No, exactly.
But still really, really good, and people should definitely go and check it out.
Yeah, really fun show. And if for nothing else, go and watch Dusty wagging his finger.
Oh yeah, make your liver quiver. So that's WCW Greed 2001. But you know what that means.
My favourite time of the week.
We need to figure out what we're going to watch next week or this week in order to talk about next week. So we have our random number generator as always that will give us a number, and we will, from our list of every pay-per-view available to us through the WWE network, we have our list, and let's have a look and see what we're going to get this week.
Just need to go back and tell you what I think the subtitle of this episode should be.
Yes, absolutely.
There's your white trash.
Yes. Without a doubt. I need to make a note of that. Apologies for the tapping.
Steiner shouted it a couple of times during the main event, and that really made me laugh.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So here we go. Let's get ourselves a show for this week. We have 280.
280. So maybe early to mid 2000s.
Yeah, let's find it. So, we are the 14th of December, 2003.
So that'll be Armageddon, right?
Armageddon.
Okay, I can think of I'm going to give a couple of matches that are on this show.
Yeah, I think I remember what the main event was.
Yeah, I think it's the triple threat.
Triple threat.
Goldberg, Triple H, and Kane.
Yeah. And I've got a feeling this is it's definitely got a Mark Henry match on here as well.
I think you're right, and it's got RVD versus Randy Orton.
Oh, that could be good. That could be good.
With Mick Foley as the referee.
Ah, very nice. So that is Armageddon 2003. That's our show to watch this week. Did you have any TV matches?
Do you know
what?
I could go through, some recent conversations and find one, but I haven't got one to hand. Have you got one?
Okay, so I've got two. So one's been on the list for a little while. And the other one was suggested just a couple of days ago. But I'll let you pick from these two.
Yep.
So one of them is from the 29th of November 2010. And is from Raw, and it's The Miz against Jerry Lawler.
Okay.
The other is from Nitro on the 19th of April 1999. It's a cruiserweight four-way between Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, Juventud Guerrera, and Blitzkrieg.
Oh, Blitzkrieg. Let's do that.
Okay, so we'll do the cruiserweight four-way.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
So it's Nitro, April.
That is April 19th, 1999.
Cruiserweight four-way. Excellent.
Yeah. So that's that brings us to the end. That's another week done.
Indeed, another one in the bag.
Another one in the bag. Absolutely. Okay, so there's your white trash.
There's your white trash. Mojo. You got 33 and third chance.
We should just end it there.
I wonder if I could reel back the entire Sacrifice promo.
Well, there's no time like the present.
Oh, I'm going to try it. Okay. So they say all men are created equal. But you look at me, you look at Small Joe, you see that statement's not true. See, normally we'll go one-on-one. You got 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got 33 and a third percent chance at best at beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix. Your chances of winning drastic go down. You see, Joe, the numbers don't lie. No, I think I've missed a whole bit there. I gave it a good old go.
Your chances drastic go down. Love it. Right. Yeah, that wraps us up for this week. WCW Greed, really good show in parts. If you were to take the first two matches and maybe a bit of Dusty Rhodes and the main event, I think you'd had a really good hour and a half. But yeah, good talking to you, my friend. We will chat again next week when we take a look at Armageddon 2003 and also the four-way cruiserweight match from Nitro on the 19th of April 1999. We'll speak to you next week.
And Sacrifice.